You are not lost. You are hidden, buried not beneath failure, nor time, but beneath the very power that waits for your permission to awaken. The inner secret is not a mystery to be solved, but a memory to be remembered. Introduction. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the outer noise no longer satisfies, when even the brightest lights of the world cast shadows too long to ignore. In that moment, sacred, terrifying, and utterly quiet, you begin to hear something else. Not a voice, but a vibration, a hum beneath thought, a pulse behind breath. That is the beginning. That is the doorway. You did not find this message by chance. It found you because some part of you is ready. Not the version of you that clocks in, checks boxes, posts smiles, and plays safe in the script of survival, but the deeper you, the one behind your eyes, the one watching your thoughts like clouds passing over the eternal sky, that you has called this book forth. And so, here it is. This is not a teaching of religion, dogma, or belief. It is not a set of steps to climb nor a formula to decode. The inner secret is older than speech, deeper than thought. It is the living language of the soul. And as you listen, not with ears alone but with presence, you will begin to hear it speak in you, through you, as you. You see, the real secret was never outside of you, not in books, not in temples, not in the voices of wise men or women. The real secret lives in the dark soil of your being. And just like a seed holds the map of an entire forest, so too does your soul hold the whole of the cosmos in the tiny flame of I Am. This book will not preach. It will awaken. It will not demand. It will whisper. And in that whisper, if you let it, the winds of remembrance will rise. You will remember that your imagination is not fantasy, it is prophecy. That your emotions are not weakness. They are sacred instruments tuning you to truth. That the stories you've called your life are not your chains, they are your chrysalis. And the inner secret is the breath that breaks it open. Each chapter of this journey will meet you where you are and carry you deeper into the garden of your own divinity. With stories, parables, and sacred practices, we will excavate the hidden roots of your power and pull back the veils you no longer need. And by the end, if you dare to stay, you will not just know the secret, you will become it. This is not the beginning of a book. It is the end of forgetting. Now, close your eyes, open your heart, and take a deep breath into the space behind your name. The path is within. The temple is within. The voice is within. And you are the secret. Chapter 1. The whisper beneath the noise. The sacred moment, you begin to hear what the world has forgotten. There is a voice beneath your voice, a silence louder than thought, a whisper that does not come from your lips, but from the ancient place within you where stars are born and time dissolves. You've felt it before, in the still pause before you sleep, in the ache behind your laughter, in the yearning that has no name. That whisper is where we begin. They tell you truth is loud, that it shouts from podiums, glows in headlines, marches in logic, and must be proven by the weight of the world. But the inner secret does not announce itself with thunder. It waits, quiet, behind your breath. Beneath every scroll, every chase, every distraction, there is an ancient whisper calling you, not forward, but inward. This chapter is about that moment, the moment you begin to hear again. You might not remember when you stopped listening. It happened slowly, like dust collecting on a sacred scroll. As a child, you felt it. You imagined realities that no one taught you. You believed you were more than a body, more than a name. You danced in rain, not for attention but for joy. You talked to the moon. You cried at beauty. You knew. And then, slowly, the noise came. Be good. Be quiet. Be realistic. Be less. Wear this. Say that. Don't dream too big. Fit in. Sit still. Numb it. Hide it. Be normal. And so you did. You traded your wonder for approval. You placed your truth in the hands of others. You silenced the divine whisper within you. But the secret is this: it never stopped speaking. Even when you turned away, even when you forgot your power, even when you screamed into the void, that sacred voice still spoke in the language of longing. It spoke when your heart broke open. It spoke when you watched someone you love rise. It spoke in every moment of quiet awe. It spoke in pain that begged for meaning. It spoke in joy so wild it made you weep. You see, the whisper doesn't come to punish. It comes to remind. It is not separate from you. It is you. The oldest you. The true you. The divine you. And in this very moment, you are remembering. Let me tell you a story. There was once a woman named Mira. She lived what most would call a normal life. A job, a partner, 2 kids, a mortgage. Every day she moved through motions, checking boxes she didn't remember writing. She loved, yes, but something always felt hollow, like a part of her life had gone missing and no one noticed. One night, after a long day, she found herself sitting on the floor of her closet. The world outside buzzed. Notifications, dishes, voices, deadlines. But inside that small space, there was only silence. For the first time in years, she let herself feel not just the stress, but the emptiness. And then, out of nowhere, a memory arose. Being 6 years old, laying in grass, staring up at clouds, feeling as if the sky could speak. And in that moment, something cracked. She didn't know what it was. She couldn't name it. But it was as if her soul exhaled after holding its breath for 20 years. She started walking in the mornings. She stopped scrolling late at night. She wrote poetry she never showed anyone. She painted with her children. She began to listen, not to gurus or noise, but to that small voice within her, the whisper. Her life didn't change overnight, but she did. She no longer moved for applause. She moved for alignment. That's what the whisper does. It doesn't fix your life. It awakens the you who no longer needs fixing. Now, maybe you're not sitting in a closet like Mira, but perhaps you've found yourself surrounded by things, achievements, relationships, routines that don't feel like you anymore. Perhaps you've grown tired of chasing what the world says will finally make you enough. Perhaps something in you is tired of noise. That fatigue is not failure. It is a doorway. A doorway into presence. A doorway into power. A doorway into the forgotten whisper of your soul. There is a you beyond performance, beyond pain, beyond trauma, beyond titles. A you that knows, a you that sees, a you that remembers, and that you has been whispering all along. So how do you hear it? Not by trying harder, not by being better, but by being still. Not just with your body, but with your being. The whisper doesn't shout. It waits for you to turn inward, to unplug from the noise long enough to hear what has always been here. And when you do, even for one breath, you touch something sacred. In that stillness you may hear, "I've missed you. I'm still here. You are not alone. You are the secret you seek." And just like that, the remembering begins. Sacred practice, the breath beneath thought. Tonight, or whenever you feel the pull, Find a quiet space. Sit or lie down comfortably. No music, no phone, just silence. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Inhale deeply. Hold for a moment. Now exhale gently. As thoughts come, let them pass like clouds. Place your hand over your heart and whisper softly, "I am listening." Repeat it 3 times. Don't try to hear anything specific, just be. Just listen. The whisper may come as a feeling, a memory, a phrase, or a wave of peace. Stay for 10 minutes, or as long as it takes for you to feel like you've touched something real. Return to this practice as often as you like. The more you listen, the louder the whisper becomes. And, eventually, you won't just hear it. You'll live from it. Chapter 2. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not a puzzle with missing pieces. You are not a wound to be stitched or a fault to be corrected. You are not broken. You are blooming. But the becoming often feels like breaking. There is a holy unraveling that occurs just before the soul expands, and it rarely looks like light. More often it looks like falling apart, like confusion, like silence where answers used to live. But if you lean in, if you don't run, you will find that this too is sacred, that the chaos is not punishment. It is birth. You've been taught to fear your cracks, to hide them, to medicate them, to silence the scream that rises from your quiet places. But what if the cracks are not flaws? What if they are invitations? What if everything in you that feels undone is not the end, but the seed? Let me speak clearly. You are not your trauma. You are not your thoughts. You are not the worst thing you've done or the worst thing done to you. You are the one who has survived it all, the one who still breathes, still hopes, still dares to listen. That is not weakness. That is power. And that power does not come polished. It comes through the mud. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man named Elijah. He had every external success you could name: money, charm, respect, a reputation that others would envy. But beneath the mask, he was exhausted. He carried a storm inside him, an ache from childhood, a betrayal he never admitted, a voice that whispered he wasn't enough no matter how much he did. He tried everything to fix it: books, mentors, relationships, but nothing held. One day, after his third business failed and his marriage ended, he sat alone in an empty apartment with nothing left to hide behind. And for the first time, he wept, not from weakness, but from surrender. Not to the pain, but through it. He whispered through tears, "If I am not this success, and I am not this failure, then who am I?" In that silence, something arose. Not a booming revelation, just a feeling, warm, soft, familiar. It didn't give him answers, it gave him presence. That night, he wrote a letter, not to a person, but to himself. He wrote, "Maybe I am not broken. Maybe I am just becoming." That letter turned into a journal. That journal turned into a practice. That practice turned into a quiet joy he hadn't known in years. Not the high of achievement, the deep peace of being. Years later, he would tell a friend, "My breaking didn't destroy me. It introduced me to myself." Now listen. The world will try to sell you perfection. It will try to convince you that wholeness is only achieved after you fix everything that is wrong. But that is not the path of the soul. The soul is not after perfection, it is after presence. And presence does not come in your victories alone. It often walks with you through the valley, through the confusion, through the nights when you forget your own light. It's easy to love yourself when you're shining, but can you love yourself in the becoming? Can you sit with the parts of you that still tremble? Can you honor the version of you that's still healing? That, beloved, is sacred work. You are allowed to be in process. You are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at once. You are allowed to grieve the old while welcoming the new. In the language of spirit, nothing is wasted. Not the heartbreak, not the loss, not the missed turn. Every shadow is a teacher. Every scar is a scripture. Every fall, a sacred descent into the roots of your becoming. And just like a seed must disappear to become a tree, sometimes the old version of you must dissolve before the true you can rise. There is a you beyond the fear, beyond the guilt, beyond the doubt. And that you is not waiting to be fixed. That you is waiting to be felt. So if you're tired, good. Rest is holy. If you're lost, good. That means the map is no longer useful and it's time to follow the compass within. If you're breaking, good. That means the shell of the old self is cracking so the light can escape. You are not broken. You are blooming. You are not weak. You are waking. Let this be the chapter where you stop apologizing for your depth. Let this be the breath where you honor what didn't destroy you. Let this be the moment you stop hiding the parts that are still healing. Let this be the turning point where you choose to believe. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are not unfinished. You are becoming. Sacred practice. Mirror of becoming. Tonight, or when you feel ready, find a mirror. Stand before it, not to judge, but to witness. Look into your eyes, not your face, not your flaws, just your eyes. Breathe deeply, let silence arrive. Then softly speak this aloud. I forgive myself for not being perfect. I honor every scar, every wound, every step. I am not broken. I am becoming. I choose to love myself through the becoming. Repeat these words 3 times, slower each time. Let your voice be gentle. Let your gaze be kind. Then close your eyes, place your hand over your heart, and just listen. Not for answers, for truth, for the whisper, for the secret. It lives here, and so do you. Chapter 3. The Sacred Lie. What you were told you are. You were never small. They just taught you to shrink. You were never weak. They just called your softness wrong. You were never lost. They just told you the map was outside of you. Some lies are louder than truth, not because they are more powerful, but because they are repeated more often. From the moment you first opened your eyes in this world, the world began writing a script for you. A script of names, identities, limitations, and roles. They told you who you were supposed to be, what was acceptable, what was worthy, what was good. And so, you wore it. The name, the label, the expectations. The armor that never quite fit, but you called it you. You learned to measure your worth by mirrors not made for you, by grades, by applause, by silence in rooms where you wanted to scream, by shrinking when you should have soared. They told you to be polite instead of powerful, to smile instead of speak, to please instead of be. And so, the sacred lie took root. The sacred lie is not sacred because it is true. It is sacred because it has shaped so much of you. It is a spell cast over the soul, a story so deeply ingrained it becomes mistaken for identity. And the most dangerous lies are not the ones shouted from pulpits or printed in headlines. The most dangerous are the quiet ones you repeat to yourself at 2 a.m. I'm not enough. I'm too much. I'll never be loved if I show the real me. If I fail, I lose my value. If they leave, it means I wasn't worth staying for. But here is the deeper truth. You were born whole, before the words, before the shame, before the mask. You were light in motion. You were essence before identity. You were love before behavior. You were eternal before you became conditioned. Let me tell you a story. There was a young boy named Aaron, sensitive, curious. He saw colors when people spoke, felt music in silence, and used to tell his parents that the stars whispered to him. But as he grew, his father called him weak, his teachers called him distracted, his classmates mocked his softness, and so Arun learned to hide. He learned to perform masculinity like a suit of armor. He stopped writing poetry. He stopped feeling deeply. He began to mock what he once cherished. By 25, he had become a version of himself that no longer resembled the boy who once danced barefoot under the moon. But then, during a quiet walk in the forest, after a heartbreak cracked him open, he sat beneath a tree and wept. Not because of the breakup, but because of all the years he had betrayed himself just to be accepted by a world that never cared to know the real him. That day he wrote in his journal, "I was never too soft. They were too afraid of gentleness." He began again. Slowly. He let the boy inside breathe. He listened to silence. He cried without shame. He let the sacred lie burn, and from its ashes his soul remembered its name. Now, I ask you, what lies were you taught to believe? That love must be earned? That emotions are weakness? That success looks only one way? That safety comes from control? That spirituality requires perfection? And what has that belief cost you? You see, the secret isn't learning new truths. It's unlearning old lies. It's removing the layers that were never yours to wear. It's turning inward and asking, who told me this was true? Who benefits from me believing it? And who am I without it? This is the moment where you become dangerous. Dangerous to fear, to shame, to control, because once you question the sacred lie, the illusion begins to crumble. You are not your trauma. You are not your diagnosis. You are not your family's expectation. You are not the voice that says you're behind. You are not the mask you wore to survive. You are the soul who witnessed it all, the soul who stayed awake, even through numbness, the soul who still feels the ache for something real, the soul who never forgot, even if your mind did. And now that soul is rising again, not to fight, not to prove, but to reclaim. You do not need to earn your wholeness. You were never broken. You do not need to hustle for your worth. You are worthy because you exist. You do not need to become someone else. You need to return to who you were before the world told you who to be. Here's what they don't tell you. Every system that made you doubt yourself profits from your self-abandonment. But once you begin to remember your truth, you become sovereign. You begin to walk differently. Not arrogantly, but with quiet knowing. And that knowing is everything. You no longer seek approval like a currency. You no longer beg to be chosen. You choose yourself. You choose your voice. You choose your softness. You choose your wildness. You choose your inner secret. And when you do, the world does not always clap. In fact, many will resist your truth, but your soul will breathe again. Your body will exhale. Your spirit will rise, not in pride, but in peace. Let this chapter be the moment you pause and say, I will no longer carry what was never mine. I will no longer confuse survival for self. I am not broken. I am the one who remembered. And remember, unlearning is not rebellion, it is resurrection. Sacred practice, the release ritual. Find a quiet place and take out a pen and paper. At the top, write, "What I was told I am." Below, write every identity, label, or belief about yourself that has weighed on your spirit. Don't censor. Be raw, be real. List them all, no matter how old they feel. Now, pause, breathe, place your hand on your heart. Read them aloud, not to shame them, but to see them clearly. Then, at the bottom of the page, write, "I release these lies. They are not mine. I remember who I am." Tear or burn the paper safely. Close your eyes and repeat, "I am not what they said. I am what I know in silence. I am the secret rising." Let the energy move through you. Let the old fall away. You are not the lie. You are the light. Chapter 4. The breath that created worlds lives in you. Before the first word was spoken, before the first sun rose, before time unspooled its golden thread, there was breath, a sacred exhale from the eternal, and from that breath all things began. Galaxies, light, form, and you. What if I told you that every time you breathe, you are echoing the original act of creation? What if the very force that set the stars into motion lives not only around you, but within you, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be directed? This chapter is about that power. Not the power of domination or striving, but the quiet, sovereign, infinite power of the breath. The divine blueprint encoded in every inhale, every word, every silent thought you allow to rise from your being into the field of becoming. The ancient sages and mystics didn't speak of breath as mere biology. They spoke of it as spirit, life force, prana, the Sanskrit word whispered in meditation halls. Ruach, the Hebrew name for wind and spirit alike. Chi, the animating essence of the East. Even in the oldest Genesis myths, the Creator breathed life into clay, and man became a living soul. Breath is not air. It is remembrance. It is alignment. It is your most direct line to source. And yet, in the modern world, we have forgotten how to breathe. Not physically, spiritually. We hold our breath around truth. We shallow breathe through emotion. We choke our words down when our soul is screaming to speak. And so the question is not, do you breathe? The question is, do you breathe on purpose? Because here is the inner secret. The breath that created worlds lives in you. And the moment you begin to breathe with awareness, you step into co-creation. When you speak from the place behind your breath, you don't just speak, you command. You don't just hope, you become. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Sophia. She had lost her voice, not literally, but spiritually. Years of people, pleasing, shrinking, doubting. Years of silencing her truth to keep peace that was never real. She began to develop chronic tension in her throat, migraines that came with no explanation. One day, during a silent retreat, a teacher simply said, "Speak only when your breath meets your truth." Those words struck something ancient inside her. That night, she sat beneath a tree and began to breathe. Deep, slow, full. No mantra, no structure, just presence, just breath. And then something miraculous happened. She spoke out loud to the stars, to the wind, to the version of her she had buried. She said, "I'm still here. I've missed you." And her voice didn't sound the same. It trembled, yes, but it rang with something real, something free. From that day forward, she practiced speaking only from the breath. No more pleasing, no more rehearsing, no more half-truths. Her body healed, her relationship shifted, her purpose arrived. Why? Because when you align your breath with your truth, the universe listens. Now think for a moment. How often do you say things you don't mean just to be accepted? How often do you hold back what your spirit longs to say? How often do you deny your truth with a smile? And how would your life shift if every word you spoke came from the deepest breath of your being? You see, your voice is not just sound, it is vibration. And vibration is how matter moves. That's why your words shape your world. Speak often of lack, and lack will multiply. Speak often of love, and love will surround. Speak with fear, and fear will answer. Speak from truth, and truth will find you. Every sentence you speak is a seed in the soil of your life. So plant carefully. Speak intentionally. Breathe before you speak. Pause before you react. Feel before you answer. And watch how the world begins to respond. Let's go deeper now. It's not just your spoken words that shape reality. Your inner breath, the silent thoughts and intentions you carry, also hold immense creative power. Have you ever walked into a room where someone said everything was fine, but something in the air told you otherwise? That's the field of unspoken breath. Intention carries resonance. Your inner dialogue is not private. It echoes through your aura, through your energy field, through your frequency. If you constantly breathe with judgment, fear, self-loathing, even without saying a word, the world around you will begin to mirror it back. But when you breathe with love, even silently, things begin to shift. Try this. For one day, speak to yourself as if your words had the power to shape mountains, because they do. Say, I am worthy. I am whole. I am safe to be seen. I do not chase, I attract. I speak with power because I breathe with presence. Now, this may feel strange at first, especially if you've spent years in survival, hiding, or fear. But slowly, like a river carving stone, the breath will break down your old walls. And your voice, your true voice, will rise. Not to convince, not to perform, but to declare. You are not here to repeat the world. You are here to reshape it, and it begins with a single breath. Let this chapter be your return to the breath, to the word, to the presence behind the sound. Let this be your rebirth as a conscious creator. You were not born to whisper your way through life. You were born to breathe galaxies into form. Chapter 5. Imagination, the blueprint of reality. Every world that ever was began in the unseen. The chair beneath you, the building above you, the phone in your hand, all once lived as ghosts in the mind of someone who dared to imagine. What you see with your eyes is nothing more than the shadow of what was first dreamed in silence. You have been taught to separate real from unreal. You've been told imagination is childish, that daydreams are a waste, that fantasy has no place in the adult world. But the inner secret knows this. Imagination is not an escape. It is the engine of creation. Everything that is, first was not. And everything that will be is already breathing within you, waiting for your permission to be seen, felt, loved, believed. Imagination is not wishful thinking. It is conscious direction of the creative field. It is how the soul writes blueprints into the invisible realm so that the visible may form around them. You've used it your whole life, whether you knew it or not. You imagined the worst-case scenario, and anxiety arrived. You imagined they would leave, and they did. You imagined you'd fail, and fear built its throne there. But just as imagination has been used unconsciously to replicate old fears, it can be used consciously to summon new worlds. The question isn't if you're using your imagination. The question is, are you using it on purpose? Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Levi, a factory worker, worked the same job for 14 years. Day in, day out. Gray walls, loud machines, silence between co-workers, except for the tired jokes they repeated like a hymn. He had dreams once, of art, of teaching, of building something that mattered, but those dreams were buried beneath responsibility and fear. One day, walking home, he passed a wall with graffiti that said, "You are standing inside the dream of your past thoughts." He paused. Something about that sentence broke through the dull fog around him. That night, Levi sat down in the dark and closed his eyes. He asked himself, what would my life look like if I imagined it with love instead of fear? At first it felt foolish, embarrassing even. But slowly, images came. A little shop where he fixed old instruments, a warm studio with light pouring in, a sense of peace he hadn't felt in decades. He did it every night, 10 minutes before sleep. Imagined the scent of wood and varnish. Imagined music playing. Imagined himself laughing, greeting a customer. He didn't tell anyone. He didn't even take action, yet. But within 3 months, things began to shift. A coworker randomly mentioned a cousin selling a shop space. A neighbor asked if anyone knew how to repair a violin. One by one, the things he had imagined began showing up. Not because he forced them, but because he tuned his frequency to the life he wanted, and reality obeyed. This is not magic, this is law. Imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. It is the womb in which your future gestates. It is not passive, it is active, it is holy. You don't imagine to escape your life, you imagine to shape it. When you close your eyes and see yourself whole, joyful, free, you are not lying to yourself. You are instructing the universe. You are drawing a line through the quantum soup and saying, This is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I accept." And the field, because it is obedient, rearranges itself to meet you. But here's what no one tells you. The moment you imagine something deeply, your ego will rise to fight it. It will say, "Be realistic. Don't get your hopes up. You've failed before. What if nothing changes?" That voice is not truth. That voice is the ghost of your past trying to survive. Ignore it. Your ego does not want what's best for you. It wants what's familiar. And imagination threatens everything familiar. Because it speaks of freedom. Because it speaks of joy. Because it reminds you that you are not the victim of your circumstances, you are the architect of them. Yes, you may still have rent to pay. Yes, you may still feel grief or pain. Yes, you may still have wounds. But none of that makes imagination any less powerful. In fact, it is in your darkest moments that imagination becomes most holy. It is the candle you light in a room full of shadows. It is the quiet defiance of a soul who dares to believe in light even when surrounded by night. You are not too old. It is not too late. You have not imagined too much. You have imagined too little. You were not meant to dream within the cage. You were meant to dream your way out of it. So here is your invitation. Start today. Close your eyes. Not to sleep, but to see. Imagine the life that would bring you peace. Not the life that would impress others. Not the life that mimics someone else's timeline. your life, with your colors, with your rhythm, with your truth. Picture it as clearly as you can. Then feel it, smell it, hear it, touch it. Let your nervous system believe it's already here. Because the moment your inner world accepts it as true, your outer world begins to mirror that belief. You are not imagining things, you are remembering them. You are remembering who you were before fear rewrote your vision. You are remembering the blueprint your soul whispered the day you were born. You are remembering your sacred role as a creator. You are not here to suffer passively. You are here to shape reality. And you shape it first with imagination. Sacred practice, the night architect. Each night before sleep, lie down and place one hand on your chest. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, if I could feel one emotion right now that would define my ideal life, what would it be? Peace? Freedom? Joy? Love? Choose one. Now, build a scene in your mind where that emotion is the center. Where are you? What do you see? Who is with you? What do you hear? How does your body feel in this life? Breathe it in. For 10 minutes, dwell there. Not as a beggar, but as a builder. Not hoping it comes true, but knowing you are making it so. Say softly to yourself, "This is my true reality. This is what I choose. This is what I receive." Let that vision carry you into sleep. And remember, you are not escaping. You are instructing. You are not waiting. You are becoming. Chapter 6. Faith is not hope. It is vision embodied. There is a quiet difference, barely visible to the untrained heart, between hope and faith. Hope pleads. Faith declares. Hope waits. Faith walks. Hope stares at the locked door and wishes it would open. Faith picks up the key it knows it carries and turns it without fear. Hope is the flicker. Faith is the fire. You have been told to hope, to wish, to pray, timidly, to ask for what you want with eyes lowered and voice softened, as if your desires are too loud, too large, too inconvenient for the heavens to hear. But the truth is this: you are not here to hope. You are here to know. Faith is not a desperate whisper in the dark. It is a luminous vision so alive in your bones that it becomes the light in the dark. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the seen, the thread that ties imagination to reality, the whisper inside the storm that says, "This too is part of the becoming." Let me take you deeper. Hope says, "I don't know how, but maybe." Faith says, "I don't need to know how. I already am." This is not arrogance. It is alignment. Faith is not blind. Faith sees more clearly than the natural eye. It sees not the current circumstance, but the truth underneath it. It sees the seed even in winter and calls it a garden. It sees the path even in fog and calls it home. Faith is not about the absence of doubt. It is about walking anyway. It is the sacred inner knowing that reality is not only what your senses report, it is what your soul believes. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Rhea. She had a dream, not loud, not flashy, but real. She wanted to open a small school, one where children were taught not just facts, but how to feel, how to listen, how to grow inwardly. She had no investors, no land, no formal credentials. What she had was a vision, clear, strong, quiet. She would wake early every morning and sit in silence, and she would see it. The colors on the walls, the laughter echoing through the halls, the smell of ink and earth and learning. To anyone else, it looked like nothing was happening. But to Rhea, it was already real. She started small, a class in her backyard, 3 kids. People said, "That's sweet," but behind their eyes they were saying, "That's not sustainable." She smiled. A year passed, then another, and slowly, unseen by the world, the field responded to her faith. A local donor came forward. A building was offered a discount. Volunteers arrived, each one seemingly random, but she knew it was never random. Within 5 years, her vision stood in brick and light. People said, "What a miracle!" She said, "No, what a knowing." Faith is not luck. It is not passive. It is not maybe one day. It is embodiment. When you have faith, you don't just want the vision. You walk as if it is already yours. You dress like it, speak like it, rest like it. You become the living echo of your imagined life. Not pretending, becoming. Because faith is not pretending the storm doesn't exist. It's walking through it with your eyes locked on the sun that's still behind the clouds. Faith is dancing before the music starts. It's writing the book before you've got a publisher. It's loving yourself before anyone else knows how. Faith is power, not the kind that dominates, but the kind that radiates. The kind that changes rooms simply by walking in with quiet confidence. You don't need faith in the method. You need faith in the vision. Don't waste your power trying to control the how. That is not your job. Your job is the knowing. You plant, you water. The soil knows what to do. And if fear comes, and it will, do not shame yourself. Fear is not a failure of faith. It is an opportunity to choose again. Every time you say, "Still, I believe." Every time you say, "Still, I walk." Every time you say, "Still, I am." You deepen your roots in the invisible. You make yourself unshakable. You become the thing your future was waiting for. You become the vision embodied. And from that place, all else follows. Sacred practice. Walk the vision. Tonight, choose one vision. Just one. Something sacred to your soul. Not because you need it to be real, but because it already is real in the field of possibility. Now, close your eyes and see yourself already living it. Where are you? What are you wearing? How do you speak? How do you treat yourself? What time do you wake? Who are you now? Feel it. Walk in that scene with full presence. Now open your eyes. For the next 24 hours, carry yourself as if that vision were fact. Not in delusion, but in decision. If that version of you already existed, how would they move? How would they respond to stress? How would they talk to strangers? To themselves? Be that. Faith is a muscle. It grows the more you walk on it. So walk on it, even when it trembles, especially when it trembles. And remember, you are not here to hope for light. You are here to become it. You are not here to wait for proof. You are here to be the evidence. And so it is. Chapter 7. Emotion is the compass of creation. Before you shape the outer world, you must learn to feel the inner one. Not skim it, not suppress it, but to live within your emotion like a sacred temple, each feeling a flame whispering, "This way, this way." You were not taught this. You were told to manage emotions like unruly guests, to bury grief, dilute joy, numb fear, and rationalize love. But here's the truth you must remember. Emotion is not weakness. It is the compass of creation. Emotion is how the divine speaks inside you. It is the map beneath the logic, the pull behind the prayer. It tells you what aligns and what depletes. It tells you where to go and when to rest. It tells you what is yours and what is not. It does not need approval. It only needs presence. Let me offer you this truth. Every act of creation is preceded by a vibration, and every vibration is birthed in emotion. The chair you sit on? It was once an idea, yes, but even before the idea, it was a feeling. Someone felt the desire to bring comfort into form. That feeling gave rise to the thought. The thought birthed the plan. The plan became wood, nails, art, and now, form. You are doing the same, all day, every day. You are creating not with what you think, but with how you feel. So the real question is, how deeply are you listening to your emotion? Not reacting, not judging, just listening. Emotion is not chaos, it is code. Let's make it even clearer. Imagine your soul is a ship on the ocean of infinite possibilities. Your mind is the captain. Your body is the vessel. But your emotion is the compass. When the emotion is light, peaceful, inspired, joyful, you are in alignment with the shore you seek. When the emotion is heavy, fearful, resentful, anxious, you've drifted from your true course. But here's what matters. The compass is never wrong. It's just reporting where you are. And that awareness is power. Not guilt, not shame, not, why am I feeling this again? Just clarity, just presence. When you feel anxiety, your compass is saying, this thought you are repeating, this story, it is not your truth. When you feel excitement, it is saying, this dream, this idea, it is your soul trying to rise through the noise. Emotion does not come to harm you. It comes to guide you. Now, let me share a story. There was once a sculptor named Eli. He was brilliant, but tortured, or so it seemed. Every time he sat to carve, waves of sadness would rise. He couldn't explain it. He only knew that the more he tried to suppress it, the more creatively blocked he became. Until one day a teacher told him, your sadness is not the enemy of your art. It is the doorway to your depth. Let it speak. And so he did. He stopped fighting the tide. He let the sadness move through his hands into the marble. He carved not to escape the emotion, but to express it. And something miraculous happened. The sculptures became more alive. People saw themselves in the stone. And Eli discovered joy. Not because the sadness left, but because he no longer feared it. Emotion became his compass, and he followed it into greatness. Now, you may be wondering, what if my emotions overwhelm me? What if I feel too much? Let me assure you, to feel deeply is not a curse. It is your superpower. The problem is not the depth of your emotion. It is the absence of permission to be with it. You were never meant to bottle it. Emotion, when felt fully, moves. It is stagnant emotion that festers, but expressed emotion, that is alchemy. Tears are not weakness. They are release. Laughter is not noise. It is alignment. Anger is not evil. It is a sacred signal that something in your world needs to change. But do not confuse feeling with reacting. There is power in the pause. To feel is not to lash out. To feel is to recognize, to witness, to breathe, to say, I see you. You are welcome here. And in that space, Emotion does its divine work. It guides you back to yourself. Now lean in for the deeper mystery. Your emotion is magnetism. You attract not what you want, but what you are vibrating. And what you are vibrating is rooted in how you feel, not pretend feel, real feel. So ask yourself now, what emotion am I living in most? And is that the emotion that belongs to the life I'm calling in? If not, bless it, release it, and choose again. You are never trapped in a state. You are always free to return to center. How? By presence, by practice, by choosing one better feeling thought, then another, and another. This is not bypassing. This is realigning. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. Sacred practice. Emotional navigation. Right now, take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Scan your body. What emotion is present? Name it, not as judgment, but as observation. Say, I feel, and it's okay to feel this. Now ask that emotion. What are you trying to tell me? What thought am I believing that created you? What do you need from me right now? Let the answers rise, not from the mind, but from the heart. Now gently shift. Ask, what emotion would I feel if I already had the life I desire? Feel it, not forced, but real. Invite it in like sunlight through the window. Let it warm your chest. Let it soften your breath. Let it recalibrate your field. That's it. Return to this practice daily. Feel first, then think, then act. Emotion first, always. For it is the compass of the Creator within you. So let the world call you too sensitive. Let them say you cry too much, feel too deep, laugh too loud. Let them say it. And keep feeling, because it means your compass works, and your soul remembers its way home. And so it is. Chapter 8. Your imagination is a portal. Imagine, just for a moment, a door. A door not made of wood or metal, but woven from your deepest dreams and whispered desires. A portal shimmering at the edge of your awareness, inviting you to step through into a world born not from what is, but from what could be. This door is your imagination. It is the sacred gateway where the invisible becomes visible, where the soul's blueprint meets the canvas of reality. Every masterpiece, every invention, every sacred vision has passed through this portal first. You've been told to get real, to stay grounded, to stop daydreaming. But what if these warnings have only kept you from the most potent power you possess? Imagination is not merely a pastime of children or a refuge for the restless. It is your divine instrument of creation, your bridge between what you feel inside and what will manifest outside. To truly understand the portal of imagination, you must see it as more than mental images. It is a living dimension, a vibrant field of possibility where your thoughts shape reality like a sculptor shapes clay. Close your eyes. Picture the last time you imagined something vividly. Perhaps you saw yourself succeeding in a new endeavor, walking confidently in a future yet unseen, or simply feeling peace wash over you. That moment, however fleeting, was you stepping through the portal. The key lies not just in imagining, but believing and feeling your way across its threshold. Consider the story of Maya, a woman who had long buried her passion for music beneath layers of doubt and practicality. She worked a stable job, followed the expected path, but every evening, when the world quieted, her mind would return to a melody she had never played aloud. One night, overwhelmed by the heaviness of unfulfilled longing, she closed her eyes and imagined herself on a stage, the soft glow of the spotlight warming her skin as her fingers danced over the piano keys. She imagined the notes flowing through the air, touching the hearts of the audience. In her mind, she saw the applause, felt the joy, heard the laughter and tears of connection. That night, something shifted. The portal opened. She began to play again, not perfectly, but with raw, trembling devotion. She enrolled in lessons, joined a local ensemble, and slowly, the imagined world began to weave itself into her waking life. What began as a simple image blossomed into a new reality. Maya's journey shows us that imagination is not separate from life. It is the birthplace of life's becoming. You might wonder, how does this portal work? How can a mere thought lead to tangible change? The answer lies in understanding that your consciousness is not confined to your physical brain. It extends into a quantum field, a realm where time and space lose meaning and infinite possibilities exist simultaneously. In this field, your imagination is a signal sent out like a beacon. It vibrates with intention, emotion, and clarity. And the universe, always responsive to vibration, begins to align circumstances, people, and events to meet that signal. This is the metaphysical dance of creation. It is how the unseen becomes seen. But there is a catch. The portal responds not just to any imagination, but to focused, heartfelt imagination. If your images are clouded by doubt, fear, or lack, the signal weakens. If your focus is scattered, the beacon flickers. But when you imagine with full presence, feeling every sensation, hearing every sound, tasting every possibility, you become a radiant transmitter. Your vision pulls reality toward it. Yet, crossing the threshold is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a sacred ritual. Because every day the mind will try to drag you back into familiar landscapes, old fears, limiting beliefs, conditioned patterns. The portal invites you beyond that. It asks you to keep imagining, to keep feeling, to keep walking as if you already live on the other side, to hold the image with fierce tenderness, to dwell in the possibility when the present feels heavy. The portal is also a test of faith, of your ability to stay aligned with your vision even when the world says otherwise. Now, take a moment. Close your eyes. Visualize the life you most desire, not just the goals or achievements, but the feeling that life carries. What does it smell like? What sounds fill the space? Who is there with you? How does your body move? How does your heart beat? Do not rush this journey. Let the portal open fully. Step through it with all your senses alive. Feel yourself already there. Breathe it in. Live it fully in your mind and heart. This practice transforms your imagination from idle fantasy to active creation. Let me share another story, one of a man named Arun, who learned this lesson the hard way. Arun had big dreams of becoming an author, of telling stories that would heal and inspire. But every time he sat down to write, he was overwhelmed by fear. The fear of failure, of rejection, of not being good enough. He would imagine the book launch parties, the glowing reviews, the heartfelt letters from readers. But immediately, his mind sabotaged the vision with doubts. One day, a mentor told him, "Your imagination is your portal, but your emotion is the key. You must feel your vision as deeply as you fear your failure." Arun began a daily practice. Before writing, he closed his eyes and felt the joy of holding a finished book in his hands. He imagined readers moved to tears, friends congratulating him, the pride swelling inside his chest. He felt it as if it were real. The fear didn't vanish overnight, but the portal grew stronger. Each day he stepped closer to crossing through, until one morning he wrote a chapter that surprised even himself. The book was published a year later. Because Arun learned to live in the portal long before the book existed. Your imagination is the sacred stage where you become the creator of your own story. But to walk through the portal, you must be willing to hold both the dream and the discomfort of the unknown. You must trust the process, even when you cannot see the full path. You must remember that the future is not something to wait for, it is something to inhabit. Sacred practice, crossing the portal. Tonight, or whenever you feel ready, find a quiet space. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what is the vision I want to live? Now, with your eyes closed, see it. Use every sense: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Feel the emotion of that life pulsing in your veins. Step through the portal of imagination as if you are truly there. Walk around, explore the landscape, talk to the people, smile, laugh, breathe. Hold this experience for at least 10 minutes. When you open your eyes, carry the feeling in your body. Throughout the day, remind yourself, the portal is always open. I only need to choose to walk through. If doubts arise, gently return to the vision. Return to the feeling. Return to the knowing. You are not dreaming away from reality. You are dreaming it into reality. And the portal? It is yours. Always waiting. Always welcoming. Always real. Chapter 9. The silence that speaks back. Silence is not empty. It is alive. It breathes. It sings. It holds the secrets your mind cannot yet fathom. Yet, we run from silence. Fill it with noise, distraction, and endless chatter, because silence is sacred, and sacred things demand reverence. There is a powerful alchemy hidden in silence, a language without words, a vibration beyond sound. When you learn to enter the silence within, you enter the realm where the soul speaks unfiltered. This is the voice of your higher self, the quiet oracle that knows your path before your mind understands it. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, the waves lapping gently at your feet. The horizon is endless, shimmering with possibility. This ocean is the silence inside you, deep, expansive, and full of mystery. When you listen with the ears of your heart, the silence speaks back. It does not shout. It does not demand. It whispers. Whispers of truth. Whispers of peace. Whispers of the next step, the right word, the unseen door. But to hear these whispers, you must still the noise. You must enter the void. You must be the silence. This silence is not absence, it is presence, not void, but fullness. It is the womb where all creation gestates. From the silence come your greatest insights, your most sacred dreams, your highest healing. This is not an abstract concept, it is a lived experience. Let me share a story. There was a man named Elias, a successful businessman who felt constantly restless, overwhelmed by decisions and noise. His life was full of meetings, calls, and distractions. One day, a friend invited him on a silent retreat, a weekend with no talking, no phones, just stillness. At first, Elias was terrified. The silence felt deafening. His mind raced, fears rose, anxieties clawed at him. But then, in the quiet, something shifted. He began to listen, not to thoughts, but to the stillness beneath them. He heard the gentle voice of his soul, long drowned by daily noise. It told him to slow down, to trust more, to stop chasing and start receiving. When he returned, Elias's life did not magically transform, but his relationship with life deepened. He carried the silence inside him like a sanctuary. In moments of stress, he returned to it, and clarity followed. This is the gift of silence. It is a sacred mirror, reflecting your true self. When the mind is silent, the soul speaks. When you cultivate silence, you create space for healing. When you honor silence, you invite transformation. But how do you enter the silence? It is not about stopping your thoughts entirely. That is a myth sold to many seekers. Instead, it is about changing your relationship to thoughts. Not fighting them, not chasing them, just letting them be, like clouds passing across a vast sky. Your true self is the sky. The thoughts are the clouds. The silence is the sky's stillness behind the clouds. To find silence, you must practice presence. Presence is the gateway to silence. Here is a simple practice to begin. Find a quiet spot. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Breathe naturally. As thoughts arise, notice them. Label them gently. Thinking, worrying, planning. Then let them float away like leaves on a river. Return your attention to your breath. Do this for 10 minutes. This is not about emptying your mind. It is about becoming the witness to your mind. This witness is your soul's doorway to silence. Over time, you will notice moments of stillness growing longer. You will begin to hear the whispers. The silence speaks in many languages. Sometimes it feels like peace. Sometimes like gentle nudges. Sometimes like a knowing deep in your bones. Sometimes it feels like love. Other times, like fierce protection. Silence is the friend who never abandons. It holds your fears without judgment. It cradles your dreams without impatience. It loves you simply because you are. Now, I want you to think about the moments when you felt most alive. Were they noisy or quiet? Were they filled with chatter or with a sacred stillness? Often, the moments of greatest insight, creativity, and joy come from silence, not sound. When you learn to sit with silence, you unlock a wellspring of wisdom that flows beneath your daily consciousness. This wellspring can heal old wounds, reveal new paths, and restore your connection to the divine. Consider this. The silence that speaks back is the voice of your true essence. It knows what your mind does not. It is your compass when confusion reigns. It is your anchor when chaos storms. And yet, silence can be uncomfortable. Why? Because silence reveals what noise hides. It uncovers the stories you tell yourself. It exposes the fears you hide behind busyness. It shines a light on the places you resist healing. This is why silence can feel like a mirror shattering. But every shard holds a piece of your truth. And from the fragments, you can rebuild. There is a mystical law here. The more you honor silence, the more it honors you. The more you return to stillness, the more clarity and peace emerge. The more you listen to the whispers, the clearer your path becomes. This is the sacred exchange. I want to leave you with a parable from ancient times. A seeker approached a wise sage and asked, "Master, how do I hear the voice of God?" The sage smiled and said, "Go into the forest and listen." The seeker went to the forest and heard the birds, the wind, the rustling leaves, but no voice. Frustrated, he returned and asked again. The sage said, "Sit in silence with no expectation." The seeker obeyed and sat beneath a great tree. At first, there was only silence. But then, as he breathed deeply and softened, the silence began to speak. Not in words, but in a knowing, a presence that filled him with peace and love. The voice of God was the silence itself. Sacred practice, the listening silence. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Begin to simply listen, not to outside sounds, but to the silence behind them. Let your mind rest in the stillness. If thoughts come, notice and gently return to the silence. Sit like this for 15 minutes. Afterward, journal any insights, feelings, or images that came. Practice this daily. Let silence become your closest companion. Remember, the silence that speaks back is the voice of your soul, the language of your heart, the whisper of the divine. When you learn to listen, you learn to know. When you learn to know, you learn to be. When you learn to be, you step into your fullest power. Silence is not empty. It is everything. Chapter 10. The story you tell is the life you live. Every life is a story. Not the story you read in books or see on screens, but the quiet narrative humming beneath your breath, the one you tell yourself about who you are, where you come from, and where you are going. This story is your most intimate companion. It weaves the fabric of your days. It colors the lens through which you see the world. It is the invisible script your heart performs daily, often without conscious choice. You may not realize it, but your internal narrative holds more power than any external circumstance. You can change your story, and by doing so, change your life. How? Because the story you tell yourself becomes your reality. Not because words alone have magic, but because the energy and belief behind those words build your experience from the inside out. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Lila. For years, Lila believed she was not enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough, not lovable enough. Her internal narrative was a silent, relentless chant of limitation. And so, her life reflected it. She found herself in jobs where she felt unseen, in relationships where she felt undervalued, in moments where joy felt just out of reach. One day, during a quiet moment of despair, Lila came across a simple sentence. "The story you tell is the life you live." It felt like a whisper meant just for her. She decided to try an experiment. Each morning, she began to tell herself a different story. A story where she was capable. A story where she was worthy. A story where she was loved deeply by herself and others. At first, it felt strange, fake even, but she persisted. She wrote affirmations. She spoke new truths. She visualized scenes where she thrived. Slowly, her outer world began to shift. She attracted opportunities that matched her new narrative. She noticed kindness where she had only expected rejection. She found strength she hadn't known she had. The story she told herself rewrote her life. Your story is like a garden. If you plant seeds of doubt, weeds will grow. If you plant seeds of love and possibility, flowers will bloom. And the soil of this garden is your belief, your thoughts, your feelings. What story have you been telling yourself? Have you noticed the recurring themes, the patterns that repeat? Are you living as the hero of your own epic, or stuck in a victim's tale? You are the storyteller of your own life. And with every thought, you write a line. With every feeling, you add color. With every belief, you shape the plot. Your subconscious mind is the publisher, printing your story into the physical world. If you want a new chapter, you must begin with new words. But rewriting your story is not about denial. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. It is about honoring where you are and choosing to create where you want to go. Your story can hold sorrow and joy, loss and love. It can hold scars and healing. It can be complex, rich, and true. Here is a secret. When you change your story, you change your identity. And when you change your identity, you change your reality. I want you to reflect now on a belief or story you have held about yourself. Maybe it's, I am not worthy, or I always fail, or I am too broken to be loved. Whatever it is, know this. That story is not your truth. It is a story you were told, or learned, or repeated. It is a pattern, not a prophecy. You have the power to rewrite it. Take a deep breath. Imagine yourself as the author, holding a pen. What story do you want to tell? What new narrative feels honest and alive? What would your life look like if you lived that story fully? Stories shape the nervous system. When you tell a story of fear, your body tightens. When you tell a story of hope, your body relaxes. When you tell a story of love, your heart opens. Your story is a living thing that flows through your cells. The next time you catch yourself in a negative loop, pause. Ask, is this story true? Does it serve me? Can I tell a better story? Because every moment is an invitation to rewrite. Every breath is a blank page. Sacred practice. Rewrite your story. Tonight, before sleep, take out a journal or open a blank document. Write down one story you have believed about yourself that no longer serves you. Write it honestly. Now, rewrite that story as you wish it were true. Use present tense. Use empowering language. Use love. For example, instead of, I am not worthy, write, I am worthy of love and abundance. Instead of, I always fail, write, I learn and grow with every step I take. Feel the new story as you write it. Speak it aloud if you can. Read it daily. Live it with courage. Watch how your life begins to reflect the story you tell. Remember, you are not bound by your past chapters. You are the author of your present moment. You hold the pen. The story you tell is the life you live. Write wisely. Write boldly. Write with love. And watch your world transform. Chapter 11. Time is the illusion between asking and receiving. Time is not a river flowing steadily forward, nor a line on which events fall like beads on a string. It is an illusion. A veil draped over the eternal now, a sacred pause between your deepest asking and the universe's gentle response. We have been taught to see time as a relentless taskmaster, a countdown toward deadlines and aging, a linear journey from birth to death. Yet, beneath this surface lies a profound spiritual truth. Time is fluid, malleable, and, most importantly, non-existent in the way we usually perceive it. Between your asking and your receiving is a space, a mysterious gap that holds the alchemy of creation. This space is sacred. It is the silence where your dreams gestate, the fertile soil where intention takes root before bursting into bloom. To master your reality, you must learn to honor this pause, this gap, this sacred moment where time folds into timelessness. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man named Arjun who wished deeply for a new life. He prayed, meditated, and set his intentions, envisioning success, love, and peace. But as days stretched into weeks, and weeks into months, he grew anxious. Nothing seemed to change. The clock ticked mockingly. "Why am I waiting?" he asked the stars. One evening he sat beneath an ancient banyan tree, exhausted and doubting. As the wind whispered through the leaves, an old monk approached and sat beside him. "Tell me," said the monk, "what troubles you?" Arjun confessed his impatience and frustration, his feeling that time was against him. The monk smiled gently. "Time is not your enemy. It is your ally. The space between your asking and receiving is the womb of manifestation. You must learn to dwell in it with trust, not fear." Confused, Arjun asked how. The monk replied, "When you ask, do so with full conviction, then release it like a bird into the sky. Do not chase it. Do not measure the flight by minutes or months. Instead, be the sky, vast, patient, and unwavering. The bird will return when it is ready." This teaching changed Arjun's life. He learned to surrender to the pause. He learned to trust the timing of the unseen. And one day, almost imperceptibly, his dream arrived. The sacred pause is often misunderstood. We see waiting as stagnation. We see delay as denial. But in truth, this interval between asking and receiving is alive with unseen work. It is the silent gestation of your desire. It is the shaping of your readiness. It is the unfolding of circumstances aligning in your favor. To resist this pause is to fight the natural rhythm of creation. To embrace it is to flow with the divine. Here is the deeper mystery. The universe does not respond to your impatience. It responds to your faith. It responds to your presence. It responds to your peace. When you hold your desire lightly, without clutching or grasping, you open the channel for receiving. When you chase the outcome desperately, you close the door. Patience is not passive. It is active trust. It is a sacred dance with time, where you lead with intention and follow with surrender. Now, consider the stories you tell yourself about time. Do you say, "I don't have enough time"? Do you rush through moments, afraid of losing ground? Do you fear that the universe is slow, indifferent, or withholding? These beliefs tighten your experience. They trap you in the illusion of scarcity. But time is a sacred dimension that expands and contracts with your consciousness. When you shift your relationship to time, you step into the power of now. You discover that the present moment holds all the seeds of your future. The legendary mystic Rumi once wrote, "Be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop." In this metaphor, the dead leaves are your impatience, your doubt, your resistance to the sacred pause. Let them fall. Become like the tree, rooted, patient, and silent in your knowing. Know that beneath the surface, your dreams are taking shape. There is also a practical wisdom in this teaching. When you ask, clarify your intention fully. Feel it as if it already is. Speak it aloud or write it down. But then, release it. Shift your focus to the present moment. Find joy in what is here now. Celebrate small miracles. Serve others. Create beauty. Live fully. This is not distraction. This is alignment. You become a magnet for your desire not by obsessing, but by embodying the frequency of already having. Let me share another story, this time about a woman named Sita. Sita wanted to heal her body. She prayed daily, envisioned perfect health, and took care of herself diligently. Yet, healing took longer than she imagined. Frustration crept in. One day, a healer told her, "You must trust not only your body's capacity to heal, but also the timing of healing itself. It is a sacred process." Sita began to shift. She stopped measuring progress by days. She started listening to her body's whispers. She welcomed each small sign of vitality. She learned to be patient with herself. Slowly, her body responded. Her healing was not a straight line, but a sacred spiral. And in that spiral, she found grace. The pause between asking and receiving is also where transformation happens. You are not the same person who asked. You grow. You shed old layers. You become ready. And when the gift arrives, you receive it not just as a wish fulfilled, but as a soul expanded. Now, take a deep breath. Feel the weight of time's illusion lifting. Know that your desires are alive, moving, and unfolding, even if you cannot see it yet. Practice trusting the sacred pause. Practice being present. Practice being the sky that holds the bird in flight. Sacred practice, the sacred pause meditation. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Imagine a desire you have asked for or wish to ask. Visualize it clearly. Feel the joy of having it. Now, imagine releasing it like a bird. Watch the bird fly into the vast sky. See yourself as the sky, vast, open, patient. Rest here. Breathe. Feel the peace of surrender. If impatience or doubt arises, gently bring your focus back to the vastness. Stay for 10 minutes. When you open your eyes, carry the sense of trust with you. Return to this meditation whenever the weight feels heavy. Remember, time is not the enemy. It is the sacred space between your asking and your receiving. Learn to dwell in this space with grace. Know that all creation unfolds in perfect timing. Trust the pause. Trust yourself. Trust the divine rhythm. Chapter 12. You cannot want what isn't meant. There is a quiet wisdom in the universe, a subtle law that governs the flow of desire and manifestation, a law that says, you cannot want what isn't meant for you. This truth is both a liberation and a challenge. It calls you to surrender not just to the how of your dreams, but to the what and why behind them. It asks you to become a wise lover of your own soul's journey, discerning which desires are true reflections of your essence and which are illusions shaped by fear, ego, or outside expectation. To understand this law is to understand the sacred dance between your free will and divine will, between your longing and your destiny, between the dreams you carry and the path that is uniquely yours. Imagine a river flowing toward the sea. The river is your desire, strong and persistent, carving its way through the landscape. The sea is your soul's purpose, the vast, infinite ocean of your highest good. Sometimes the river encounters rocks, fallen trees, or forks in the path. It may slow, swirl, or even backtrack, but it never loses its impulse to flow toward the sea. This is the wisdom behind, you cannot want what isn't meant. Your true desires are like that river. They may face obstacles, but their essence remains aligned with the soul's greater current. When you try to force desires that do not belong to your soul's purpose, you experience resistance, frustration, and emptiness, like pushing against the flow of the river. Let me share a story to illustrate this sacred principle. There was a young man named Ravi who dreamed of fame and fortune. From an early age, he chased status, recognition, and wealth, believing these would bring happiness. He worked tirelessly, climbing ladders that were not his own. Yet, no matter how much he achieved, a hollow feeling gnawed at his heart. One day, after a health scare, Ravi paused and looked inward. In a moment of quiet reflection, he realized that the life he had been pursuing was not his true desire. It was the desire of his upbringing, his society, and his fears of insignificance. He began to explore what genuinely brought him joy. He remembered how, as a child, he loved painting and connecting with nature. Slowly, He shifted his focus, allowing himself to want what felt authentic rather than what was expected. The path was neither smooth nor easy. He faced doubts and judgment. But with time, his new desires aligned with his soul's purpose. He found fulfillment in creating art and healing others through his work. Ravi's story shows us that not all desires are meant to be, and that recognizing this is a gift, not a failure. This law, "You cannot want what isn't meant," is a call to discernment. Discernment is the sacred lens through which you view your desires and decide which to nurture and which to release. It is not about suppressing longing, but about listening deeply to the whisper beneath the want. Ask yourself, does this desire bring peace or unrest? Does it align with my values and true self? Does it expand or contract my being? Does it feel like freedom or bondage? Your body, your intuition, your soul speak the answer clearly when you learn to listen. Sometimes, the universe responds with a gentle no. This is not punishment, it is protection. When you try to claim what is not meant for you, the universe gently nudges you away, not out of cruelty, but out of love. This is why resistance is often a signpost. If you find constant blocks, disappointments, or anxiety around a desire, consider that it might not be aligned with your highest good. Release becomes a sacred act. To let go is to say, I trust that there is a better path for me. This is not resignation. It is surrender with wisdom. When you surrender desires that do not serve you, you make space for new dreams that do. And these new dreams arise not from neediness, but from soulful calling. Let me offer you a mystical metaphor. The universe is like a vast garden, each soul a gardener with seeds of potential. You plant your desires like seeds in the soil of your heart. Some seeds bloom quickly, others require patience. Some seeds, though, are meant to be released, so the garden can flourish with what is truly yours. Trying to grow what is not meant for you is like forcing a flower to bloom out of season. It withers and drains your energy. But planting what aligns with your essence brings beauty, abundance, and joy. Now, reflect on your current desires. Are there wishes you cling to out of fear or habit rather than genuine resonance? Are there dreams imposed by others that no longer serve your soul's evolution? Honoring this truth means courageously examining your wants with honesty and kindness. There is a sacred freedom in knowing that you cannot want what isn't meant. It frees you from chasing illusions. It frees you from blame and frustration. It frees you to trust the divine flow of your life. When you align your desires with what is truly meant, you step into flow. Doors open with ease. People appear who support your path. Your heart sings with deep knowing. This is not magic separate from you. It is the natural harmony of soul and universe. Let me share one last story, this one of a woman named Amara. Amara longed for a relationship, believing it would complete her. She searched tirelessly, but attracted partners who mirrored her fears and insecurities. Heartbreak followed heartbreak. One day, in a moment of surrender, she stopped wanting to fix or force love. She turned inward, embracing her wholeness. She realized she had been wanting a relationship to heal a sense of lack. She chose to want herself instead, with compassion and acceptance. As she did, a profound shift occurred. Love came, not as something to complete her, but as a reflection of her already full heart. Her desire aligned with what was truly meant, and her life blossomed in unexpected and beautiful ways. Sacred practice, desire alignment reflection. Find a quiet space with your journal. Write down your top 3 desires. For each, ask, why do I want this? Does this desire come from my true self or external influences? How does this desire make me feel in my body and soul? What resistance or blocks do I feel around it? Am I willing to release it if it is not meant for me? Take your time with this reflection. Breathe deeply. Listen to your inner wisdom without judgment. If any desire feels misaligned, imagine gently letting it go like a leaf floating downstream. Thank it for its lesson and release it with love. Now, focus on desires that feel vibrant and true. Nourish them with your attention and energy. Remember, you are not chasing shadows. You are walking a path of sacred alignment. You cannot want what isn't meant. And that is a gift. Chapter 13. The Sacred Echo of I Am. There is a sound older than time itself, a primordial vibration that resonates in the depths of your being. It is the sacred echo of I Am. This simple phrase holds the mystery of creation, the power of presence, and the essence of your divine identity. When you speak or silently affirm I Am, you are invoking the source from which all life flows. I Am is not just a statement. It is a cosmic declaration, a spiritual seed, a portal into your highest self. In every spiritual tradition, the phrase I Am appears as the cornerstone of being. From the ancient Hebrew, Ehia, Asher, Ehia, I am that I am, to the meditation mantras of Eastern mystics, this sacred sound reminds us of our eternal existence beyond form and thought. But what does it truly mean to live from the vibration of I Am? To live in the echo of I Am is to recognize yourself as a conscious creator. It is to acknowledge that you are not separate from the universe, but an integral expression of its infinite intelligence. When you say I Am, you affirm your presence as life itself, pure, radiant, and eternal. This awareness is not intellectual. It is experiential. It is felt in the core of your being as an undeniable truth, a warm light that illuminates every corner of your soul. Let me share a story. There was a seeker named Dev, lost in the turmoil of doubt and confusion. He searched for meaning in books, teachers, and rituals, yet felt disconnected from himself and the world. One night, in a dream, a voice whispered to him, "Remember the sacred echo, I Am." Upon waking, Dev began to practice this simple invocation. He sat quietly and repeated, I Am, like a mantra, letting the sound ripple through his body. At first, it felt empty, but as days passed, the phrase became a doorway to profound stillness and clarity. He began to sense the presence behind the words, the unchanging essence that is his true self. With each repetition, Dev peeled away layers of fear, identity, and separation. He discovered that I Am was not just who he was, but what he always had been. This sacred echo is a mirror reflecting your divine nature. When you lose yourself in stories of limitation, struggle, or identity, the echo reminds you of your timeless core. When you feel fragmented or lost, the echo calls you home. When you doubt your power, the echo awakens it. But there is a deeper truth. The I Am is not a fixed label. It is a living vibration that expands as you do. It evolves from I am here to I am love, I am peace, I am abundance, I am light. Each edition is a sacred declaration of your evolving consciousness. You craft your reality by the qualities you attach to I Am, yet beware the trap of false identity. Saying I am weak or I am unworthy anchors you in limitation. The power lies in aligning your I Am statements with your highest truth and potential. Speak your I Am affirmations with feeling and conviction. Let them shape the unseen fabric of your being. Here is a practice to deepen your connection to the sacred echo. Sit in quiet. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Whisper or think the phrase, "I am." Feel the vibration in your chest, your throat, your heart. Allow it to resonate fully. Now add a word that reflects your true nature or desire. I am peace. I am joy. I am strength. Say it slowly. Feel it deeply. Repeat for several minutes, letting the words sink into your cells. This practice realigns you with the source of your power. It dissolves doubt and fear. It grounds you in your divine essence. You are not merely a person with desires and struggles. You are the sacred I am expressing through form. The echo of I am also connects you to all beings. When you say I am, you recognize that the same essence pulses in every life, every star, every breath of wind. You touch the unity behind diversity. You remember your sacred kinship with all creation. In ancient times, this knowledge was guarded as the highest secret, a key to liberation and divine union. Today, it is yours to claim. To awaken to the I am within is to step into the fullness of your soul's light. Let me share one last story from a wise elder named Nisha. Nisha taught her students that when overwhelmed by life's chaos, the simplest remedy was to return to the sacred echo. Repeat I am until you feel the storm settle within, she said. Her students found that this practice brought peace in the darkest moments, clarity when lost, and courage when afraid. The I am is a lighthouse in the night, a steady flame in the wind. Sacred practice, the I am invocation. Tonight, or whenever you seek presence, sit comfortably and close your eyes. Take several deep breaths. Begin to repeat the phrase, I am, softly, like a prayer, like a breath. Feel the vibration moving through your body. When ready, add a quality or truth you wish to embody. I am love. I am peace. I am whole. Speak with feeling, with certainty. Repeat this for at least 10 minutes. Allow the sacred echo to awaken your deepest self. When you finish, sit in silence and notice the peace within. Remember, the I am is the seed of all creation within you. It is the voice of the divine singing through your soul. When you align with this sacred echo, you become the living prayer, the unfolding miracle, the radiant presence you were born to be. Chapter 14. The Mirror Principle. What you see is what you are. The world around you is a mirror, flawless, unyielding, and profoundly truthful. It reflects not just the surface of your gaze, but the depths of your soul. Every face you encounter, every situation that arises, every joy and pain you experience is a reflection of your inner world. What you see in others is a living projection of what resides within you. This is the mirror principle. What you see is what you are. It is a sacred teaching that invites you to look beyond blame, judgment, or criticism, and to see your true self reflected back through the eyes of the world. Imagine standing before a crystal-clear lake at dawn. The water's surface is so still it perfectly mirrors the sky, the trees, and your own face. If the lake ripples with wind or disturbance, the reflection distorts. But when the lake is calm, the reflection is sharp and true. The same is true of your life. When your inner world is turbulent, filled with fear, anger, or resentment, the world around you mirrors that chaos. When your inner world is peaceful, full of love, compassion, and acceptance, the world reflects that serenity. Let me share a story. There was a man named Kiran who was often angry and frustrated. He saw the world as hostile and unfair, blaming others for his misfortune. One day, an old woman told him, "Look into the mirror, Kiran. Not the glass mirror, but the mirror of your life. What do you see?" At first, Kiran was defensive. "I see injustice," he said. The woman smiled gently. "Yes, but where does that injustice begin?" Kiran thought deeply. Slowly, he realized his anger was a mirror of unresolved pain within himself. He began to change how he viewed himself, offering kindness where there had been judgment, compassion where there had been blame. As his inner landscape shifted, so did his experience of the world. People became kinder, situations grew easier, and his heart opened to joy. This is the power and mystery of the mirror principle. You cannot change the reflection without changing the source. If you wish to see love in the world, you must cultivate love within yourself. If you wish to see peace, you must find peace inside. If you wish to see joy, you must nurture joy in your heart. Every encounter is a sacred opportunity, a chance to witness what lies within you. If someone triggers anger or fear, it is not the other person's fault but a call to look inward. If you feel drawn to kindness or beauty, it is a sign of your own inner longing. Your relationships, your work, your surroundings are mirrors of your consciousness. There is a spiritual alchemy in this teaching. When you stop blaming others and start taking responsibility for your inner world, you step into your power. You become the artist of your reality, painting with the colors of your emotions and beliefs. You stop reacting to the world and begin creating it. The mirror principle also teaches forgiveness, not just for others, but for yourself. When you see shadows in others, it is a reflection of your own shadows. This awareness invites compassion rather than judgment. When you forgive yourself for your imperfections, you soften your perception of others. The mirror clears, and love shines through. Let me tell you another story. A woman named Mira struggled with jealousy toward a close friend's success. She felt bitter and unworthy. One day, her mentor said, "Mira, your jealousy is a mirror of your own desires and fears. What does it teach you about yourself?" Mira sat with this question and realized she longed for self-confidence and acceptance. Instead of blaming her friend, she began to nurture these qualities within herself. Her jealousy transformed into inspiration, and her friendships deepened. The mirror reflected her new light. The world is not separate from you. It is a living extension of your soul's landscape. To change your world, start with your inner vision. To heal your world, begin with your own heart. Now, take a moment to reflect. What emotions or judgments do you frequently experience toward others? Can you see them as reflections of something within yourself? What qualities do you admire in others that you wish to cultivate within? This is not easy work. It requires honesty, courage, and humility. It asks you to stop pointing fingers and start looking within. It asks you to embrace your whole self, the light and the shadow, the beauty and the pain. But the reward is profound freedom. When you understand the mirror principle, you are no longer a victim of your circumstances. You are the master of your inner kingdom. You hold the key to transformation. Sacred practice, the mirror reflection. Find a quiet space with a mirror, or simply close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Look at your reflection or envision your face in your mind's eye. As you breathe, ask yourself, what do I see in this reflection? What emotions arise when I look at myself? What qualities do I judge or criticize? What qualities do I love and cherish? Now, shift your gaze from your face to your life. Consider a recent experience that caused a strong emotional reaction. Ask, how is this experience a reflection of my inner state? What can it teach me about myself? How can I respond with love and responsibility? Journal your insights. Repeat this practice whenever you feel triggered or disconnected. Let the mirror become a tool of awakening, not judgment. Remember, what you see is what you are. The world outside is a sacred canvas, painted with the colors of your soul. Change your colors. Change your world. Chapter 15. Heaven is not a place, but a frequency. Heaven is often pictured as a distant realm, a celestial city beyond the stars, a reward for the righteous, or a final destination after life's journey. But what if heaven is not a place at all? What if heaven is a frequency, a vibration of consciousness that you can access here and now within the depths of your own being? This truth shifts the entire landscape of spirituality. It dissolves the illusion that paradise is somewhere else or someone else, and invites you to tune into the sacred song vibrating through your cells, your breath, your heart. Heaven is a state of being, a dimension of awareness, a sacred resonance that transcends form but infuses it with meaning. Throughout the ages, mystics have whispered of this frequency. The saints who walked silent forests, the sages who meditated under ancient trees, the poets who sang of bliss, all spoke of a vibration beyond pain and limitation, a light beyond the darkness. This frequency is accessible to you, not after death, not after some heroic achievement, but now, in this very moment. Let me share a story to illuminate this truth. There was a woman named Anaya, burdened by grief after losing her beloved. She wept for months, feeling as if her heart had shattered beyond repair. One evening, during meditation, she felt a gentle warmth rising within, a subtle hum of peace that softened her sorrow. She realized that heaven was not a place she could reach by escaping pain, but a frequency she could become amidst it. She began to nurture this inner vibration daily. She listened to silence, breathed deeply, and opened her heart to the sacred presence within. Gradually, her suffering transformed, not erased, but held in the embrace of love. Anaya discovered that heaven is not the absence of pain, but the presence of divine peace. This teaching invites you to reconsider everything you believe about joy, peace, and the divine. Heaven is not an external reward, it is an internal resonance. You carry the frequency of heaven in every cell, in every breath. The challenge is learning to tune into it, like a radio finding a clear signal amid static. How do you find this frequency? First, you must slow down. In the noise of modern life, it is easy to become disconnected from subtle vibrations. You must create space to listen, to silence, to your breath, to your heart. Second, you must open yourself without resistance. Heaven's frequency cannot be forced or grasped. It comes softly, like dawn light through a window. Third, you must cultivate presence and gratitude. These qualities amplify your resonance. When you are present and grateful, your being vibrates with harmony. The frequency of heaven is often described as unconditional love. It is the pure essence of acceptance, compassion, and joy. It is the hum of the universe itself, the rhythm of creation, the pulse of life. When you align with this frequency, you experience a profound sense of peace that surpasses understanding. You touch the eternal, the infinite, the divine. There is also a practical wisdom here. You do not need to withdraw from the world to access heaven's frequency. You can carry it in your daily life, in your work, your relationships, your challenges. You can be the light that transforms darkness. You can be the peace that calms storms. Let me share another story. A man named Jai was a busy executive, always stressed, always rushing. One day, he attended a meditation retreat and experienced a brief moment of profound stillness, a taste of heaven's frequency. When he returned to his life, he realized he could carry that frequency within him. He began practicing small moments of mindfulness throughout the day, feeling his breath, noticing beauty, expressing gratitude. Slowly, his life shifted. Stress lessened, joy increased. His presence transformed his work and relationships. He became a beacon of calm in a chaotic world. The sacred teaching here is that heaven is not somewhere you go, but what you become. You are not waiting for heaven. Heaven is waiting for you. Within you, always. Now, take a moment to close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the subtle vibrations of life within you. Your heartbeat, your breath, your energy. Imagine tuning into a frequency, soft, warm, radiant. This is heaven's frequency. Allow yourself to rest here. Allow your being to resonate with peace, love, and joy. Sacred practice, tuning into heaven's frequency. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Take 10 deep, slow breaths. With each inhale, imagine drawing in divine light. With each exhale, release tension and resistance. Now, silently repeat, I am peace. I am love. I am presence. Feel these words as vibrations, as frequencies moving through your body. Visualize yourself as a radiant light, vibrating with harmony. Stay here for at least 10 minutes, breathing and feeling the sacred frequency. When you finish, carry this resonance into your day. Return to this practice whenever you need to remember that heaven is not a place, but a frequency you can embody. Remember, you are not separate from the divine. You are a living expression of heaven's song. By awakening to this frequency within, you transform your life and the world around you. You become the light in the darkness, the calm in the storm, the love that heals. Heaven is here. Heaven is now. Heaven is you. Conclusion. The eternal awakening. Your inner secret revealed. As we draw this sacred journey to a close, remember this. The inner secret is not a secret hidden in distant realms or locked away in ancient texts. It is the living truth pulsing within you right now, waiting to be recognized, embraced, and expressed. You are a universe in motion, an infinite dance of light, love, and creative power. Every chapter, every teaching, every sacred practice has been a mirror, a guide, a gentle hand leading you back home to the eternal sanctuary of your own soul. You have walked through the corridors of faith, the compass of emotion, the sacred echo of I am, and the mirror of your reality. You have touched the mystery of time's illusion, the resonance of heaven's frequency, and the profound power in choosing your story. Each step has been an unveiling, a peeling away of layers obscuring your radiant essence. Know this: you are the architect of your experience. Your beliefs shape your world. Your emotions chart the course of your creation. Your imagination is the portal through which your highest self births new realities. But most importantly, you have learned that the greatest transformation begins within. When you align with the sacred laws, when you live as the embodiment of your deepest truths, you become unstoppable, luminous, free. This is your inner secret. not a trick or a distant goal, but the awakened state of being fully alive to the divine presence that you are. The path ahead will not always be smooth. There will be moments of doubt, shadows, and challenge. But in every moment, remember that you carry within the power to return to peace, to love, to creation. You are never alone. The universe conspires with you in every breath. The sacred frequency hums in your veins. The mirror always reflects back your growing light. Live boldly, dream wildly, love fiercely. The world awaits your unique expression. If this journey has stirred your heart, I invite you to keep walking with intention. Revisit the practices, reflect on the teachings, share your light with others. You are a beacon of the inner secret, an eternal awakening in motion. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through this sacred experience. May your life be a testament to the infinite power of the soul, and may your days be filled with the radiant truth that you are the secret, the light, and the miracle.